In the early hours of a Sunday in Goa, a state known globally for its nightlife, tourism, and coastal ease, a sudden blaze transformed a popular club into a scene of devastation. Initial reports from local authorities indicated that a significant number of people lost their lives, many of them workers, after a fire tore through a multi-storey building that housed a nightclub, restaurant, and bar. What unfolded raised pressing questions about fire safety, crowd management, and regulatory enforcement in one of India's best-known tourist centers. According to local officials and preliminary police findings, the fire began shortly before midnight at a nightlife venue called Birch by Romeo Lane, located in the Arpora region of North Goa. This area, where hotels, bars, and clubs cluster tightly together, is typically packed with visitors during the peak tourist months. Witness testimonies gathered by reporters suggested that many guests had assembled on the club's upper floor where a DJ event was underway. Somewhere during this gathering, a fire started on the first floor before spreading rapidly and engulfing additional parts of the structure. Authorities reported that in the immediate chaos, some patrons managed to flee from the upper levels, but many individuals located in the basement were unable to escape. Early police assessments described the basement as a major problem area because it reportedly lacked a viable exit route. Responders indicated that several people became trapped as thick smoke filled the confined lower level, leading to widespread suffocation. Fire crews worked through the night to control the blaze, attempting to break into damaged parts of the building to reach possible survivors. Images captured by local journalists showed flames tearing through the structure until it eventually burned down to a darkened frame. By morning, officials were seen navigating debris, smoke-blackened walls, and collapsed interior sections while continuing recovery efforts. Authorities shared that a large proportion of those believed to have died were workers based in the lower level of the establishment. Some tourists were also initially reported among the casualties, though identification of the deceased was still underway. Local officials, including Goa's chief minister, visited the site and publicly expressed grief. The chief minister also announced an official inquiry, stating that accountability would be pursued where negligence was found. Statements from the state government emphasized that any violations of safety guidelines would be met with strong legal repercussions. Police investigators indicated that the fire's exact cause had not been determined, but early assessments suggested it originated on the first floor. The initial spread may have been accelerated by materials or structural elements within the building. Local reporting from Goa's press suggested that most survivors ran toward the primary exit, while some, in the confusion, moved downward instead of upward. This tragically placed them closer to the smoke-filled basement. A police official told reporters that guests on the first floor had moved toward safety during the initial outbreak, while staff members in the basement were cut off because the space lacked a dedicated emergency escape path. The presence of smoke and the absence of alternative exits combined to create a highly dangerous environment. In statements from authorities, there was an emphasis on continuing forensic examination of the site, reviewing building compliance records, and analyzing the safety certifications of the club. Goa, located along the Arabian Sea and visited by millions of both domestic and international tourists each year, is widely known for its nightlife, beach resorts, and party culture. Government data indicated that in just the first half of the year, approximately 5.5 million visitors arrived in the state, including about 270,000 international travelers. Arpora, where the fire occurred, sits within one of Goa's key tourist belts, featuring nightlife venues densely packed within a relatively small area. Tourism contributes significantly to Goa's economy, influencing sectors from hospitality to transportation. As a result, nightlife establishments carry a large economic footprint. However, incidents like this have drawn attention to fire safety compliance, crowd density limits, and structural integrity regulations. Local political figures have occasionally called for heightened enforcement, especially during peak tourism periods when venues reach maximum occupancy. Following the fire, some local leaders reiterated demands for comprehensive safety audits of entertainment venues. One Goa politician emphasized the need for a statewide inspection drive to ensure clubs adhere strictly to safety rules. The incident was described by officials as alarming both for residents and the visitors who view Goa as a safe holiday destination. Modi publicly expressed sorrow over the loss of life, emphasizing the tragedy of the event. The scale of the casualties, reported through local authorities and media, again highlighted ongoing issues surrounding fire safety standards in India. Across many Indian cities, fires remain a recurring hazard, often linked to overcrowded buildings, outdated electrical systems, and inconsistent enforcement of safety codes. Earlier in the year, several other major fire incidents underscored systemic vulnerabilities. For instance, more than a dozen fatalities were reported in Hyderabad following a blaze in a commercial building. Weeks before that, another fire struck a hotel in Kolkata, causing multiple deaths and forcing individuals to escape through windows and rooftops. And in yet another case, a large number of people perished after a blaze struck an amusement arcade in Gujarat, which had been densely packed at the time. These incidents demonstrate a pattern of structural weaknesses, regulatory gaps, and emergency response challenges that continue to be examined at the national level. Safety experts often point to inadequate adherence to building codes, insufficient emergency exits, and lack of regular inspections as key contributors to such outcomes. Authorities in Goa have pledged a full inquiry into the nightclub fire, focusing on licensing procedures, fire safety certification, crowd management protocols, and enforcement responsibility. The Chief Minister emphasized that any negligence identified during the investigation would be handled through legal channels. As investigators work through forensic evidence, survivor testimonies, structural analysis, and regulatory records, the incident has renewed a broader discussion: how India, and particularly its tourism-heavy regions, can balance economic activity with safety obligations. The tragedy has also reminded policymakers and local communities that disaster preparedness, such as ensuring working alarms, clear evacuation routes, and routine safety audits, may mean the difference between chaos and survival.